Hello, welcome to a little bonus ritual recording to honor the New Year's. This is actually a ritual that I kind of do every year for myself. So I wanted to share. I'm still kind of working on my interpretation of it for 2025, but um, if you're a Capricorn like me, or have lots of Capricorn placements, or are just a fucking weirdo, you too might love a Venn diagram. Um, I love a Venn diagram. And so this is a ritual that I kind of do every year and have since 2020. So, of course, before all the weird stuff started happening. But it's really just a practice of creating visuals. Um, that express your areas of focus for the year. And that is my first one that I made, 2020. But I've also pared things down so that they're not quite as intense, even going so far as to only have three circles of focus. I'm back at four again. But this is all to say this is a exercise in um, an exercise in understanding what is important and how those things intersect. And so, as I shared, this is something I do all the time for myself. Um, so I'm excited to share it. Actually, I might have started this in 2019 because I'm very wise and forgot to put 2019 on this one. Huzzah. Um, the point it remains. This is just a visual way of kind of mapping out the magic that is one's year by listing out goals, and messages for the self, right? So, with that said, we go ahead and dive into this practice. Oh, one moment. Do, do, do. Uh-huh. So this is a New Year ritual, but of course you can start fresh anytime. In astrology, the new year really is the spring equinox. That is the first sign in the zodiac the beginning of the zodiac and the first sign of Aries. And so even though this is the new calendar year, there's no reason why one cannot begin that new year energy whenever you want. Because this practice is really just about reassessing and evaluating what's important to you, where things intersect, and why. Um, so let's just get into it. My name is Lauren. I'm also a subnormal child, and I'm glad that you decided to try this New Year's ritual to help get clear about the journey ahead. If you are a patron, thank you so much for coming and watching the video. If you are brand new here because you've stumbled upon me on YouTube, all is well and good, and thank you for being here. So on Patreon, our theme of the month is devotion. And I feel like that's a great word to begin with, considering this is the year of the Hermit. The Hermit is a great symbol, I think, of devotion. It is the card in the tarot. This is based on numerology, of course. If you're into that, great. If this is new to you, no worries. Um, but going through the major arcana and the numerology of this year, we are in the year of the Hermit. And what this kind of invites us to do and kind of illuminates is the Hermit is the card for Virgo. So there's a energy there of earthly groundedness, of course. And it is often depicted with an old man in long robes and a long beard walking with a lit light to guide the way of some sort. And it inspires this idea of a long journey, right? So when we think of devotion, we can think about how the hermit represents our inner work and our individual healing for the collective service, but also that devotion to the individual healing, right? It is a long journey. Individual healing is never over, right? We're constantly exploring new things that support us. And with devotion, as I shared in the prompts this month, there is a lot of showing up. It is the idea of returning again and again, consistency. You can love something kind of flippantly, but to be devoted and love means working through even the darkest of darks and times when we don't want to do certain things because they are necessary to the growth, the greater good, as well as being able to complete one's work or purpose. So we can think of this as we are asked to listen to our inner knowing and our inner light. And that lantern, that source of light that guides us, is one that can be seen as our own inner knowing, right? And as we gain that confidence of that knowing, because we show up to ourselves with devotion, we can bring that light into the world, into the work that we do. We can shine that light on others, or just ensure that we are moving through the world with more mindfulness, more awareness, and just more space to explore. So as we sit down in this ritual of the new year, showing devotion to ourselves, devotion to the work that we do, and illuminating the year ahead by creating some clarity, we are getting just really into those themes. And that is what this ritual is intended to do, is to simply ask the question, how can we carry this energy into the new year and throughout, creating an image that allows us to illuminate, illustrate, and internalize what we feel, what we know, and what we want to work on. Sometimes it's easy to say, okay, I'm going to do this. But we forget the importance of that, where that settles in our life. And so we let it go to the side. We let things become less important because we forget the intersection of our lives that they represent. And that's not all the time, but that might be one of the reasons, because the life that we live in the day to day just simply is fast paced, needy, and never ending. What we are required to do is never ending. So with that said, let us dive in. So using Venn diagrams, circles of areas of focus. And so these are just some examples: health, work, and friends. Of course, already I want to invite you to think about what are the big overreaching areas of your life, right? For 2024, mine were teaching, family, activism, and art. But for you and anyone watching this video, it is really about finding what works for you. One of my first ones were mental health, pleasure, work, activism, community, teaching, magic, activism and art, purpose, self, and family. Like it just kind of depends on what feels right to you in this moment in this precipice as we continue on. Of course, I showed earlier how I arrange that. Also think about how these things intersect and maybe which ones don't. Um, and of course, remember, this is still an art ritual. Even though this feels more structured, this is still the art of structure. What a Virgo moon thing of me to say. So our first invitation um, is to write a short list of big focuses. I'm going to give us a moment to kind of start writing that out. And then again, this is a recording, so you are free to do this, pause the video and write as long a list as you feel called for, and then kind of pare it down if you need to. Or let's just go with what's right on top of the head. I'm going to put on a quick little song. I want to invite you to just write out those areas of focus for you. And again, some areas might be spiritual, family, activism, self, mental health, work, uh, dance, art, community, whatever it is. Just kind of think of those big themes that we can circle up and fill with our brains. And as you're making your list, you might notice certain things can go under other big umbrellas. That's kind of what we want to think about. Our big focuses are really just umbrellas that are intentions fit into. So keep going. Play with them. Or skip it. Follow your heart. I do care about you. I do care. feel ready, if you feel like you're in a good place, kind of look at the words on your table, on your desk, and just kind of observe and focus on the breath. Center yourself with these umbrellas, these areas of focus, coming to the breath, maybe closing your eyes, rolling your shoulders out, your neck, coming back to that breath. You have a lot of words or now might be a good time to pare it down. What's the overarching theme of certain areas of focus? How can we simplify and slow it down? If you haven't yet already, start to kind of really come into the breath as well. Place a hand over heart and around the belly. And that can also help you simplify once you are grounded and I want to invite you at this point to definitely close those eyes, get soft, get settled for a moment. And take a deep breath in through the nose. And let it out with a sigh. Just kind of grounding and connecting to the body. Maybe that's an area of focus for you to connect to the body. And if you haven't yet, take a moment to just feel some gratitude as you sit here, paper or paint, whatever materials you're using. There is no right or wrong in this space. There is only what is authentic to you. Sometimes that means messy, confused, or unsure, and that's okay too. That is okay too. As you have these words in front of you, these umbrella words, these terms of focus, something to also think about as I shared mine, I'm still working on it. Still working on it. There's no rush or fuss. You are just a magic making creative person doing cool shit. So, again, to kind of think about, you have these words, these umbrella terms that kind of are the overarching themes of major areas of life for you. So now we want to start thinking, how do these areas of life intersect? Where do they? Do you keep things kind of separate and compartmentalized? Because I bet even if you do, there's still some overlap. That Venn diagram might be far apart, it might be really on top of each other. And so on a separate piece of paper, you could even start playing with arrangement, with circles and squares and triangles and trapezoids, everything you can think of. And there are no right or wrong. But we're going to take some more time to journal. This is all about journaling and writing and grounding and feeling what feels right for us. Another thing to ask and to reflect on is, what are some of the things you want to accomplish this year that go in each of these areas? What are the smaller steps to these goals? For example, if your goal is to go back to school, but you haven't started any of the process, what would that look like? Getting transcripts, applying to different schools, visiting other colleges, or finding a good online classroom that works for you. If it's finding a new job, is that a matter of looking at things around you and really deciding if the career you're in is the career you want? Or is it just a matter of sitting down and updating your uh, resume, right? These are things to consider. These are things to think about. And so before we move on, you might just have a jumble of words. Pull out another piece of paper. There's never anything wrong with that. We're going to journal on these questions for just a moment or two, and then we'll continue on. All right, friends. Keep it rocking and rolling. Now that we've kind of worked out ideas, done some journaling, done some reflecting, it's time to put the circles on your paper. And remember, you can start over if you need to. You can add more circles, maybe little circles in the corner that connect to others. But really, the idea is 2 to 6 circles is probably a great place to start as far as area of focus. Like I shared, I've gone through having just 3 circles, and that feeling really good. However simple you want to kind of break down these goals, these things you want to accomplish, these things that you're working towards, um, and just like really putting that together, putting it on paper. However that feels authentic to you is really, it's really the be all end all, is what feels authentic and right to you. But don't overcomplicate things too much for your own well-being. This is not for me, it's for you. And of course, label those circles according to how it feels interconnected, maybe positioned in a certain way, um, and overlapping in areas that can be an intersection for our space of creation. For example, you might have like one area that is work, but your creative self together. Well, where is the intersection of the work that you do full time to make the money and pay the bills and the creative magic that you hold? Those intersections are pure areas of intention, right? Where we can combine those things. So consider those ideas, those concepts of intersectionality for how things that matter to you, those areas of focus for you, are laid out. And I say 2 to 6, listen to yourself first. But this is just a way to get started. And once we have kind of played with your circles, again, keep working on that. This is where we begin to place those intentions, like little seeds on our paper, on our canvas, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's on your iPad, maybe it's on a scrap piece of paper that you found underneath your bills, or maybe it is the back of your kids' homework. I don't know what your life is like. You do you, boo bear. I don't judge. We listen and we don't judge. Um, just make sure you have all the messy paperwork in front of you, all the lists that you made, all the journaling. Have that in front of you to help be a little bit of a lantern as you guide yourself through. We are devoting ourselves to this sacred work of illuminating what is important to us, what we want to devote ourselves to, what we want to devote our time and energy to. Is it to connect with more friends? Is it to eat more soup? Is it to garden? Is it to get a certain project done? Is it more sex and sexy feelings? Whatever that is, that you are just calling in. And as you think about this, think back to our collective card of the year, the Virgo, the Hermit, and think about your own card of the year. And again, that is based on numerology, but my card of the year is the Tower. Yippee. So some other questions that can help you is how can the energy of the hermit support you in creating clarity in your journey? How are you illuminating the way ahead? What has brought you back? What has brought you here to this video or in life? How is this connected to the work ahead? And is kind of the main focuses for you this year inner work, outer work, or both? Most of the time, it's all. It is everything and. Yes, and. No, and. Take some time to really think about where your intentions fall in the circles and where the overlapping circle points might be. This is where I will leave you again to continue this journey. So as you start to lay out your your circles and you begin to lay out your ideas, your plans, your illuminations. Again, if I move on too quickly, feel free to pause. Your time is sacred. Listen to yourself. I'll leave this up and I'll check back in soon. All right, friends. Again, if you kind of had a feeling of where things are going, you're keeping things simple and short. You might be done. You might have been done already because you've had a list of things that you want to accomplish. You kind of already had a vision. Bada bing, bada boom. That's beautiful. If you were still trying to finagle the bagel, as they say, and I am they, maybe just pause the video and keep going. Do what feels good. Um, and so really that's the only invitation. Maybe your intention this year is to do less. You tried to do too much and you just want to slow it down. That's fine. Maybe you're trying to do more. You're ready to expand out of contraction and into your own sort of flow. There is no right or wrong. So continue if you shall, if you like to. But if you are ready, if you kind of already have a picture of what you've got, our last and third step, and again, revisit this all you want, or stop the video here and decorate tomorrow, whatever you want to do. But that is the last step. Add affirmations. Maybe there's words that matter to you. You can add the year on it. I recommend doing that because Lord knows I didn't do it the first time I did this. Your personal cards for the year or any details that highlight your magic, maybe an energy that you're working with, a deity that you're really being called to. All of that is so perfect and good. But that is our last step. I'm going to kind of close this out because I said this was going to be a quick video. This is turning into an hour, so I actually have to run. But again, I'm going to leave this up. Choose your own music, put it on, and just jam out. Remember that, like, leave this up because this is the thing I do want you to just be reminded of, a reminder as you continue. Remember, there is no good or bad marks in this space. We have made sacred space by being here. Only shifts to adapt to or add to because you're doing great. As long as you follow your intuitive magic. Just kidding. Follow your intuitive magic because you're doing great. Or maybe you're not doing great, but you are doing great. Maybe you don't feel it, but you are. You're doing great. Being a human is like super hard and stuff. Um, but again, this is just to help ground you with the intention. It is okay. It is okay to even just start the whole process over. Make a fresh one. Who cares? No one's watching. I'm not watching. I'm just here with you, holding your hand and petting your head and saying sweet things. Because that's what I'd like to do. Anyway, pause the video here. Leave this up while you finish because you should have a good reminder. And lastly, thank you for taking part in this ritual. It really means a lot to me that you explore this practice. Again, it's one I've done for a multitude of years. I think it's really helpful. I keep mine above my desk so I can be reminded of my intentions, of what my goals and my hopes for the future are. Um, and yeah, that's all. That's all, folks. Just filled with gratitude for you for being here. To my lovely patrons, thank you so much for your support. Once again, I am always just filled with gratitude for the people who support my work and resonate with my work. And yeah, that's really all. I'm just really grateful for another year of magic making, of sharing art as ritual, and it just matters so much to me. So with that said, I hope you have a lovely rest of whatever you are doing, going through, or being. And until next time, bye-bye.